have it for training for later. Melissa and Kim, do you guys use REDCap?
I use it, but I'm a novice.
Okay. Melissa, do you use it at all? Maybe she dropped off. Alex, it looks like you joined. Are you there? Maybe you are still joining too. Well, hopefully you all can hear me. I saw you joining. Melissa, it looks like you're on. And Alex, it looks like you're both on screen. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Did somebody join via the phone?
Yeah, this is Alex.
Yeah, Alex. Alex, do you use REDCap?
I've used REDCap before, yep.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks, Melissa. All right, well, we'll get started. Now, after we do this training, once you guys are activated, we will be sending you your REDCap login, so you'll get it then. But this will help you. Sorry, I don't want to ignore Susanna because it'll make her go away, so she'll go away in just a minute. I know you guys can see her on my screen. Okay. So once you log yourself in, the screen will look like this. You are going to go up here to the My Projects and click on that. That's going to give you the projects. For our purposes today, things look a little different than when you guys will use it, mainly because they had to create a testing, like a training area for me to do these trainings since we are now live. So you all will only see this produce study and produce screening. And then for our purposes today, we have these two. So just know that there are two separate databases. There's the screening database and the study database, and those are linked through the ICN and the Eureka ID, which I will show you when we go through the training today. But when you are screening your patients, all the patients that you screen, you will go first into this screening section. So again, I'm clicking the training one. You guys will not see that. You will just see this produce screening section, but we can't show you that because there's actually some patient data in there and we would all get in trouble. Okay, so just as a reminder for the purposes of this study, we are asking that you all, you coordinators, be the ones responsible for making sure everything gets entered in REDCap, however you do that at your site. And then you can always print paper versions of these forms through REDCap. And then we also have the paper CRF saved in the Zycos folders. And then the questions that have to be answered are labeled must provide value in red under the question. So you'll see that as we go through things today. So as you get into this area, it tells you up here that you're in the produce screening area. And so for our purposes, when you have a person, you're going to click the Add Edit Record. And then I am going to add a new record for our purposes today, and you will see the screen pop up. So down here, you see screening and enrollment log, screening 1, screening 2, screening 3. So we currently have up to 3 screenings that you can do on the same participant. If you know, through the course of the study, something happens and you need to screen them a 4th time, just reach out to us and we will make it so that you can do that. But as we were building the database, and Kim helped me with this many months ago, Kim, you probably do not remember, but we decided 3 screenings was probably enough. But just in case, if you guys get in there and you need a 4th screening, you can go ahead and reach out to us and we will be happy to help do that. Bernadette, have you joined us yet? Okay, we'll keep going. So this is what it's going to look like. If you all need to download a PDF of this, you will click up here where it says download PDF of instrument, and you can go ahead and print it, and it'll print it for you. For our purposes today, we're not going to do that, but you will see as you go in, you have event name screening 1, and then screening number is 2. It's 2 because I was in here the other day. And then there's a first one. So for each of you at your site, you will have your own screening spaces. So they will number 1, 2, 3, 4 at your site for you. And they will just go sequentially from there. Under here for the ICN2 ID must provide value, since there are more and more sites getting added. We have in there a 3-digit ICN ID. You all probably know your ICN IDs. If not, you can reach out to me. I have them all recorded. You'll also get them on your activation letter. Your ID is on there too. So I'm just gonna make one up today. I don't know who ICN ID is one, but it's fake. So we're doing that today. And then you'll need your 3-digit ICN patient ID. So you'll get that from the ICN registry. Please remember that everybody who is a participant in Produce has to also be a participant in ICN. And so if they are not, when you are consenting them, you need to consent them to ICN as well. So we'll just do 001123 for today. Okay, so then for the date of screening, if you click today, it will put in today's date. It's giving us day, month, year. And it'll tell you down there, year. It'll tell you down there. If you want to change the date, just remember to go in. You can click there, do however you like. This would be our first screening. So I click screening 1. You put in the physician's name. You have to provide that person's name there. And then the person's date of birth. When you go in to put in their date of birth, obviously they weren't born today. Let's pretend like they were born April 9th. It will click you out if you click on April 9th first. However, if you click the year first, it will not. It'll let you go in there. So however you want to do it, it's not a big deal. Just make sure you put in the correct year as you're going through the study. And so April 9th of 2003, this person would be qualified because of that. We'll make this person a male because I'm told more participants or more people with IBD are male. And then you check the race. There should also be an ICN, but we know it's not in there as much as we'd like. So you would click that for your purposes, do your ethnicity, and then you have to consult with their primary gastroenterologist agreeing for the patient to be approached. If you click no, it gives you this warning. If no, please stop the screening. Okay, so that's a nice pop-up for you. If you click yes, so let's say you identify someone, you reach out to the primary GI and they're like, no, I don't think they're a good candidate. You would put them in because you screened them, but then you would just click no and complete the form. If you click yes, then you go through exclusion criteria. Did the patient meet any exclusion criteria? If you click no, it's going to pop up the inclusion criteria. If you click yes, then it's going to ask you what exclusion criteria what excluded the patient from the study, and you can click all that apply. And then it'll also remind you to stop screening down there in red. So you would click all those. Let's pretend like the person did not meet any exclusion criteria for today though. So we'll click no. And then it says, did the patient meet inclusion criteria? Same type of thing as before. You will either click no, they didn't meet inclusion criteria, and this gives you the inclusion criteria down here. So you would click what did not apply, and you can click more than one. However, if you click yes, they did meet inclusion criteria, it's going to take you down to this question. Did the parent or legally authorized representative agree to participate? It doesn't say consent, it just says agree at this point, because you know you'll be filling out your consent form as a separate matter. But this is just kind of an extra base touch to make sure they're on board, they would like to participate. And if you say no, it'll give you some reasons. And you pick whichever one makes the most sense there. If you say yes, then you go down, and this is more of a check thing for you too. Was informed consent obtained by the parent or obtained from the legal parent or legal guardian? You're going to want to mark that as yes. If you're consenting this person in the study, was assent obtained from the patient? Yes, they're not applicable because I know for those of you I've had calls with already at your site, if the patient is under a certain age, you don't have to do the assent, but let's go ahead and say for today, yes, because our patient is 15. And then did your site PI complete the subject verification for the eligible patient? There's an eligibility worksheet that you have to go through for every patient enrolled in this study. And so we want to make sure, again, as a check that you have that. So if you click no, you don't get any pop-ups, but that's going to be a reminder to go back and do that. And then you're going to want to click yes there. So for our can you also hear me?
Yeah, you went out there for a minute. We hear you now.
Where did you stop hearing me? That was weird. I just got your entry is not valid. Did you hear that?
No, it was just like 15 seconds.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to hear me. So assent obtained, PI, complete subject verification. Did you hear me say that?
I think so.
Okay, so now we're on to the parent Eureka ID. So what will happen, everyone, that is if the patient is consented into the study, you will download the Eureka app with them, and in that you will get a Eureka ID. It's going to be a 6-digit Eureka ID that will be unique for the parent. And you need to go back into this form to complete this form and put in that Eureka ID. So for today, I'm just going to do a 111333 for our parent. You're going to make sure it's 6 digits, make sure it looks right. And then you can go ahead and close this form. If it's complete, you would mark it as complete. If it is incomplete, leave it incomplete and change it to complete when it is complete. And then you can always save and exit the form and you can go back in later. Do you have any questions about that form?
Alex typed a question into the chat box, and he asked for the data field where we enter the ICN IDs. Is that capped at 3 digits? Because they have some ICN IDs at their site that are longer than 3 digits.
Okay, good question. We will double check that. So they have longer, how long, Alex?
They're just 4 rather than the 3, but we have like 14, well, we're working on 1,500 in terms of ICN IDs, so it's just 4, but I just wanted to make sure. So.
I know, thank you for asking, because I need to double check what they have in there, so I will let you know.
Okay. And I think our cap is currently is at like 1515, so in case you need those parameters, I don't know. But
okay, thanks. I don't think we put a cap on that, but the digits, they have put that on, so I will double check with the people who developed the database and change it to 4 digits if need be.
Okay.
And I will get back to you all about that. Does that sound okay?
Awesome.
Okay, Bernadette, did you join us? Okay. Nothing.
And then
Tim, yeah,
yep.
So, yeah. What type of information am I looking for in notes? That's really for you. So if there's anything specific you want to do for tracking your patient, go ahead and put it in there. I don't think at this moment we necessarily have a plan to try to code and analyze that. But if you think there's something we need to know, or if it's helpful to you to track something there, you can add something in the notes. Okay, and Sally, if you see, I kind of have this part down so I can see my screen since I only have 1 monitor right now. If you see another question, feel free to just yell out for that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to say we're done with this patient. What field did I not have? Oh, the gastroenterologist name. Okay, we'll just cancel since we're faking today. Okay, now if, for instance, this patient didn't screen in at this point because they didn't meet an inclusion criteria, if they come back in 3 months and you look at them again and they do, you could go through the screening process again with them. But after they screen in, we'll go back to my projects. and then you will go into the produce study database. And this is where your other ECRFs will be. So you will just click in there, and then you will do your add edit record again. You are going to want to enter a new patient for our purposes today. So here it says enter a new or existing parent Eureka ID. So if you have someone that's already in there and you're going in to fill out another CRF, you would put in their ID already. Since our patient is new, I'm going to put in the Eureka ID I just made. So that was 111333 and hit enter. Okay. And it tells me it's a new parent Eureka ID 111333. And it tells me it's new right here. Okay. So this is where all of your ECRFs will be. This is really pretty user-friendly. I really haven't used a lot of REDCap either, but given all the different databases we learn to use and put information into, I would say this one is really pretty user-friendly for you all. But if at any time you have any trouble, always feel free to reach out to us, and we will be happy to help you. So don't feel like you have to plug through it by yourself or whatever. We're happy to help you. And the softs are really helpful too. Sally did a lot of work on those to make them very user-friendly. So those are available for you all too as you go through these. The first CRF that you're going to go through in here is the baseline CRF. This one is a very short CRF form that you'll just do at the baseline visit. It's really, its main purpose, for just so you know, is to link the screening, that screening area with this area, the study area. So if you see up at the top, it tells you the name of the CRF, and then because we already entered the parent Eureka ID, it auto-populates there. If at any point you enter an ID wrong and you hit enter, again, reach out to our team and we will get it unlocked and fixed on this side. But it goes ahead and populates that there. And then for your ICN2 ID, this is a double check imbalance for us. And so for our purposes today, our person was 001-123. And so we'd put that in again as another check. Let's see, what was our date of birth? April 9th of 2003, I think. I did not write that one down, but we'll go with that. And then at this point, you will be with the parent, or you probably won't necessarily be with the parent at this point, but you will have been with the parent and the patient, and they will have been randomized already to the diet, and you all will have a record of what diet they were randomized to. So I am going to say modified SCD for today, mainly because there's more areas in our CRFs when we say modified SCD that I want to go over with you. So for training purposes, I'm just going to pretend they were randomized to the modified SCD. Once this is complete, you again would mark it as complete. If it's incomplete, you can save and exit the form, and like it did in the screening area, if you miss something that's required, it's going to prompt you and tell you need to go back in and do that. Do you all have any questions about the baseline form? Okay. I don't see any questions. Again, if something pops up, feel free to, we're a small group today, so feel free to reach out, or Sally, you can let me know too. Okay, so the next form we are going to go over is the dietitian visit. Remember that this happens 2 weeks after the participant will start their first diet. So they have the 2-week period where they do their usual diet. They'll send in their stool sample, they'll send in their diet diary, and then they will, at the end of that 2-week period, they will start the diet they were randomized to. And 2 weeks after that, they should have an appointment with the dietitian at your site, and they're going to come in for this dietitian visit. This is going to be a good place that we find out a lot of information from the participants, and what's likely going to be the case at your site, but you all can do it as you would like. is that the dietitian will have the paper copy of the CRF in front of him or her as they go through it, and they will mark stuff down and then give it to you to be entered. But again, you guys can work that out at your site, how that best works for you. So the dietitian will know that this participant is on the modified FCD, and then they are going to mark down, and if they are in their first diet phase or their second. So this one for this participant is their first visit to the dietitian, and that's the diet A number 1. That's what phase they are in. The date of the visit, we're just going to say, is today. Okay, so the dietitians will be putting in their clinic height and their clinic weight. And we just specified there that we'll want centimeters. You can go to 2 decimal places, in kilograms to 2 decimal places. And then if the patient is tracking their weight in the Eureka platform, the dietitian can grab that out of the admin panel or can grab it out of the platform that if the person has their phone with them. So it'll just be their most recent weight from their Eureka platform. We know that's going to be in pounds because people will likely be measuring that at home, and so that's going to be in pounds. And then the date that the Eureka weight was obtained. So you would do that if the person is not tracking their weight. So I'm gonna get out of this. You will see this right here. They're not tracking their weight, and that's gonna get rid of some things for us. For our purposes today, we will leave that in, and we'll say that they are tracking their weight, and then it gets rid of the not tracking the weight thing. And then so the dietitian is gonna wanna calculate the percent weight change since the baseline visit. We need to have that in here because we need to be tracking if our participants are losing too much weight. So they would calculate that by current clinic weight minus baseline clinic weight divided by baseline weight times 100%, and that's going to equal our percent change. And we'll put that in there. And then they're gonna have to know if the person gained weight, lost weight, or stayed the same. So if we say, we'll go through a few scenarios here. The person lost 3% of their weight, nothing happens. If we say the person lost 5.5% of their body weight, you will get this pop up. If percent weight change since baseline visit is greater than or equal to 5%, but less than 7.5%, due to the patient weight loss, please make a plan for close monitoring and complete an adverse event form. So if you get that pop-up, you'll finish this form, and then you have to go and complete an adverse event form. If any of you have a patient, and let's hope you don't, who loses a lot of weight, okay, you don't want to leave. And for the purposes of this study, we're saying anything greater than or equal to 7.5% weight loss in the first 4 weeks of being on the diet you need to monitor them closely. You need to complete an adverse event form, and then you need to work with the PI to withdraw the patient and address the weight loss. And so you would fill out an adverse event form, and because the weight loss is so great, you would then fill out a serious adverse event form that we'll go over later too in this system. But this pop-up is gonna really just talk you through that and help you figure out if you need to do that. Just remember, for these diets, it is common for patients to lose weight, at least some weight at first. We just obviously don't want them losing too much weight because it can be very problematic. So that is how we're tracking that there. And then these are a lot of checks for you. So did you look, these are going to be like for the dietitian and you all too, are you monitoring them in the admin panel? Did you look at the participant reported stool frequency in the Eureka platform? Did you look at the participants' ratings of pain interference? So really we're going to be looking for this and just making sure that the people are tracking, you're monitoring them and making sure they're tracking. Did you look at the participants' ratings of GI symptoms since starting the current diet? Any concerns about the symptoms? So if you check yes, there are concerns, it says please review symptoms. It said did you report this to the GI provider and site PI? Because we definitely, if the dietitian has concerns, we want those reported to the physician so they can be addressed if needed. And then we also have a prompt that says, please review symptoms and record applicable adverse events. If you click no, then you will not get that pop-up and you will not get the reminder about talking to the physician or the provider. So far, so good. I'm looking for questions. I don't see any questions. Anybody have any questions?
No, it makes great sense. It's intuitive.
Good. We tried. That's good. Okay. So then we'll keep going. At the first dietitian visit only, we really tried to underline that for the dietitian. We're going to ask the participants, did they complete the diet staging as advised? So if you'll remember from your trainings, when they're first starting this diet, they go through kind of a staging of easing into some of the foods. And so that's really what we're asking there. So if you say yes, when did the staging complete? If you say no, how did they adapt the staging? So you'll have to fill that in. The dietitian will have to fill that in, like, what did the person do instead of the staging that we were asking them to do. And so then we would say they completed the staging, let's say on the second, or we're just making this up. And then, is the patient avoiding any foods? If you click yes, we're going to ask you to specify what food. And then it'll ask you that for up to, I think, 3 or 4 foods. I'm not seeing it in front of me, but it'll ask you up to a few foods that they're avoiding. We were told by the dietitians when we were making this form that it's generally kind of a category of foods, not just a food. And so we thought up to 3 or 4 was okay. So you'll just fill those in. If you click no, you will not get those pop-ups. But then you'll get, are there any diet side effects? And that we have an example here, like diet-related changes in stool consistency or frequency. If you put no, you get no pop-ups. If you put yes, we have, please record any diet side effects on an adverse event. So for this study, I know not all studies are the same, but for this particular study, we do want to record any adverse events. Even though we know as they're starting the diet, you know, they might have some increase in number of stools, might have more runny stools, but we definitely want to record those just so we know and have a good record of that. Does that make sense? I'll take silence as yes. Okay, so you'll get that pop up. It's a nice reminder on the forms. We have a little kind of section on the form too that has that information. Okay, Peter Margolis is bombarding me with emails at the moment. Okay, so over the past, we'll move on to the diet deviation section of this report then. So over the past 2 weeks, how many times have you eaten illegal food? This is really for the participant to find out how closely they're following the diet. If you click never, you're good. If you click once per week, a couple of times a week, daily, for that section, you do not get any pop-outs, but that's going to just help us know how well they're following the diet. I am going to go ahead and say never there. If on the MSCD, so we said we're on the modified SCD, the dietitian is going to ask over the past 2 weeks, on how many weeks were you able to consume the target amount between 3 to 6 cups of starches. So we really want to know if they're doing that. And so if they say 0, you will get this pop out, and then they'll be asked if they ate more or less of the recommended portions, or on some weeks more and some weeks less. If they followed the diet, they're able to do their 3 to 6 cups of starches. You put in a 2, and you will not get any pop out. The same here over the past 2 weeks, on how many weeks were you able to consume the target goal of between 2 tablespoons and ½ a cup of base grade maple syrup and 100% unsweetened cocoa, or 100% cacao powder, nibs or butter, but not more and not less. Same thing. If you put anything less than 2, you'll get this pop out. But if you put in 2, you will not get the pop out. And then you move on to the dietitian's impression of the diet deviation. In general, how adherent do you believe this participant is being? Our fake participant is being excellent. So we would say yes. But you can do anything in there. There's no real pop-ups there. This is just kind of a general understanding for us about how people are doing on the diet. Okay, and then you move to this bottom portion of the form. Did the participant discuss barriers with you? So if you say yes, you're going to get a pop out what challenges were identified and what did you recommend to them. If you click no, then you do not get that pop out. Then you'll move on to the vitamin D level ordered today. If you put in yes, that's it. No. If no, why not? Not clinically indicated, not clinically indicated due to dietary assessment, and then recent level drawn or other. If you click other, you'll have a reason specified. We are going to just say we didn't order a vitamin D level today. Is the participant taking their vitamin D daily? We would put yes if they are, and then you would put in their dosage, and then their last vitamin D level date, their result, and then the units of that result. Okay. And if you click no, you would still get the vitamin D level result and the vitamin D level result unit, because we need to be checking that for the DSMB in this study. I know some people had questions. I think, Melissa, you were one of them. We'll be reaching out to you, unless Sally has already done so, about some information that the team discussed regarding vitamin D tests. Okay, so I'm going to leave the yes in, and we'll just say that. Okay, so then we'll move on to supplements. Is the participant taking or did you prescribe any supplements today? If you click no or not assessed, you get nothing. If you click yes, they're going to ask you for this first supplement name. Is it previous prescribed or new? And then the dosage. And then you will get 2 more pop-ups for supplements. I'm pretty sure it's 3. And then you will move on to, is the participant taking any antacids? Because this is also something common that people take. Again, if you put no or not assessed, nothing pops out. If you put in yes, then you will be writing in the antacid name. I'm pretty sure that goes up to 3 as well. So if they have more than 1 antacid, you would just click, if yes, antacid 2 name. And then did you make any other recommendations? I guess maybe we just have 2 there. Did you make any other recommendations about their diet? You would, if you say yes, you get a pop out and you would write in what those recommendations were. If you say no, you do not get that pop out. Okay, and then again with our form status, incomplete, complete, or unverified. Yeah. Okay, so that is the diet visit form. It's a pretty long form. It has a lot to it. So just as your dietitian is going through that, make sure he or she, has a good paper copy. And then as you are entering it in the system, definitely double check that you got all that information in there that's needed. That is our diet visit form. Does anybody have any questions before I move on? Okay. Everybody still awake?
Yes.
All right, at least one person is. Glad to hear it. All righty. So the next form is going to look similar to the dietitian visit form. It's our dietitian phone follow-up form. So you're going to see a lot of similarities with it, but there's going to be some different time periods in it and a few different questions. So when the dietitian does their phone follow-up with the participants, a couple weeks after that in-person visit, it'll be towards the end of each diet, they're going to do this phone follow-up. And so if you look at the form, we're going to pretend like this is their first follow-up. We're still going to be on modified SCD because this is during the first diet period, and we're still going to be on diet A number 1 because it's their first time. So they'll just go through and mark if they're on diet A, diet B, and is this the first time around or the second time around on that diet. And then the date the contact was made. This is going to ask them if they reviewed the diet diary before the call. So ideally, at least the dietitian will get that diet diary and be able to review it before it gets sent to Seattle to be put in Food Pro. Even better, the dietitian will have that Food Pro output and that diet diary back and in front of them. And obviously they can have a copy of the diet diary in front of them on the call, but it'd be great if they would have their Food Pro output. We just know, given the timing of everything, that might not be possible for every single dietitian call. So this is kind of just a prompt for making sure that they're able to try to review it beforehand. And do a little homework to make sure that the patient is following the diet as well as they can. Okay, and so then this is with the nutritional analysis available. That's that Food Pro output I was talking about, yes or no. If you click no, then this pop-out comes out and it says, was a follow-up conducted after the call based on the nutritional analysis? So for example, if the dietitian gets that, if the dietitian has their call, but they get the nutritional analysis back and they notice that the participant is lacking in some sort of vitamin, they would need to call that person back and come up with a plan of how to supplement for that, or any of those situations. We just want to make sure they were calling back, and so that's why we have this prompt here. To make sure that that would happen as a safety issue for the person. Okay, and so then again, if the person's not tracking their weight, you would just click not tracking weight. If they are, you would put in the most recent weight from the Eureka platform and the date that the weight was obtained. We have this pop out here as a reminder for everyone during this visit, because since this is a phone visit, we're not getting a clinic weight, but we just want people to be reminded that if you have any concerns, if you're talking to the patient, if you see their weight in the Eureka platform has dropped and they calculate the BMI and it's dropped a lot, we definitely want to bring them into the clinic, check their clinic weight and go through those steps to make sure they have not lost too much weight and are on an unhealthy track. So that is why that pop-out's there. We would just want to make sure that everyone is keeping the participants safe as they go through the study. So that you put in the most recent weight and the day that it was obtained. If they're not tracking weight, you would just talk to, or the dietitian would talk to the people about their weight and make sure nothing seems awry. Okay, and so then if they did lose some weight, did you discuss weight loss? If yes, what did you recommend? If no, or not available, you don't get that pop-up. Did you look at the participant reported stool frequency starting the current diet? So again, these are the checks and balances questions. We want to make sure you do look at these, and the dietitian does look at these before they call the participant and the family. So again, stool consistency, ratings of pain, and then here's a little, this was on the other form too, but I do not believe I pointed it out. It's letting us know that significant pain is indicated by a score of greater than 60. So if you're concerned that their score is high, this should definitely be something you talk to them about, and if needed, fill out an AE form. Did you look at the participants' ratings of GI symptoms? Any concerns about symptoms? Same as on the other form. If you click yes, you will be asked to make sure you talk to the GI provider, site PI, and then fill out an adverse event form if applicable. And if you click no, oops, I clicked the wrong no. If you click no, you will not get that pop out. And then again, did you review any notes from medical visits or phone calls and layouts that have been done since the last contact with the family? We want to be seeing yeses there. If during our monitoring or reports, if we see a lot of no's there, we'd probably reach out to your site and talk to you about maybe why that wasn't happening. And then we move on to our questions again. Is the patient avoiding any foods? If yes, you get this pop out. If no, you do not. Are there any diet side effects? Again, if you put yes, you'll get the pop out about the adverse event form. If you click no, you will not get that. And then we move on to the diet deviations, and we want the dietitians to be reading this verbatim. So similar to the last one, only now our time period is over the past 4 weeks. So over the past 4 weeks, how many times have you eaten illegal foods? Again, you go into never or daily. That's giving us just an idea of how many times over the past 4 weeks they're really cheating on the diet. And then again, on MSSCD, you will not get these questions on the SCD. The dietitian will not get these questions on the SCD. But if on the MSCD, over the past 4 weeks, and how many weeks were you able to consume the target goal starches, you do the 0 and you get the pop out. Anywhere from 0 through 3, you'll get that pop out that says 8 more, 8 less, or on some weeks 8 more and some weeks 8 less. If you click the 4, you will not get the pop out. And then the same with the next question, over the past 4 weeks, and how many weeks were you able to consume the target goal of sweets? So 0 to 3, that pop out. Click a 4, pop out. And then in general, how adherent do you believe the participant has been with the assigned diet so far in this diet period? So our pretend participant is doing great, because we would all love that. And then same questions as before. Did the participant discuss barriers to implementing the diet? If yes, what challenges did you identify, and what did you recommend? If no, you just move on to the next question. Is the participant taking the vitamin D daily? Same thing as before. If you say yes, they'll ask for dosage. If you say no, they'll ask for just the last vitamin D level and results. And then, is the participant taking, or did you prescribe any supplements today? Same as before. You'll go through the supplements. If you click any other supplements, click yes, you put in supplement 2 and the dosage. And then, did you prescribe any other supplements today? Say no. Is the participant taking any antacids? If you say yes, you'll put in antacid names 1. If you say yes again, it's new or previously prescribed, it would pop out another one. And then, did you make any other recommendations about their diet? If you click yes, just like on the last form, what did you recommend? And if you click no, you will not get that pop out. You'll mark the form as complete if it is complete, and you will save and exit the form. If it will let you. Okay, and you'll see I got that pop-up again that said I was missing some important values. So it's just, if you get that in the course of the study, that's a good indicator. You should go back and check and make sure you have what you need in there if you're trying to complete the form. Okay, any questions about those two? Those are kind of our biggest forms in here. And as you go through the database, you'll see you have the dietitian visit at week 12, the dietitian phone follow-up at week 14 to 15, and then again, the dietitian phone follow-up later on throughout the period. So that will be where your forms are that you will click on. So I am going to move on to, I don't see any questions typed in, and I don't hear any questions, so I'll keep chugging along to get us through these today. The next one I'm going to go over is the subject disposition form. This you will fill out if you need to withdraw someone from the study. For instance, if they have lost a bunch of weight, or if they withdraw from the study for some reason, or at the end of the study if they've completed the study. So at the top, it says, what was the subject status? You can either click subject completed the study or discontinued from the study. If they're discontinued from the study, you'd put in the date they were discontinued. And then if the subject was discontinued from the study, select the primary reason. And so you'd put in one of these reasons. If you have an adverse event, lost to follow-up, withdrawal. If you have the withdrawal, you'll get this pop-out. Why is the patient withdrawing? And it's either because they don't want to do the diet, or don't want to continue with data collection, or if you click other, you get a pop-out. If it's the physician decision, you will get this pop-out, physician decision specify, and that will be lack of efficacy on the diet, or other. And if you click other, you will get that pop-out. And then you will get your form status. So it's a pretty short form, but it's definitely an important form and needs to be filled out if somebody is withdrawing. But definitely contact us before filling this out so we know what's going on and know to expect it if that's going to happen. Any questions about this form? Okay. I don't see any typed in, and I'll take that as no. All right, the next form I want to point out to you all, you do nothing with. I'm actually not even going to get into it. It is the stool collection form. This is the form that will be filled out by Seattle and then our Cincinnati team, but this is the form that gets filled out after someone sends them their stool, and this will be where the fecal count results get uploaded. So you all do not have to do anything with that form. That is just for us and for our purposes, and you will be able to collect, or I'm sorry, to check the fecal count information in the admin panel for all of included, and then your will be able to check it there and within their information on their phone. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. Reimbursement.
Michelle, yeah, you're cutting out. I'm not sure if you're still talking, but we can't hear you.
Okay, I am.
You're still cutting out a little bit.
I do not know why.
Okay, well, now we hear you.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Cutting out?
Yeah,
okay.
No.
All right.
We can hear you. Thanks.
All right, I got a phone call, so I wonder if that did something. Okay, so reimbursement log. Thanks, Sally. Just yell if you can't hear me again. For the reimbursement log, this is really for your purposes. Alex and Melissa and Kim. So just kind of tracking if your participant gets paid for the first payment. If you click yes, you'll just put in your payment date. If you click no, you would put in why they weren't eligible. So if they're not returning their stool specimen, we definitely want you to reach out to them to get that returned so that they can then move on to the next diet. So ideally, this one won't happen, but if the patient withdraws, that would be a reason or other. If there's something else going on, you would just note that there. I guess I don't anticipate that happening a lot, but I guess I'm always surprised. So you may have some cases where something's going on and you have to do that other section. That's really all there is to that one. That's just kind of a easy way for us to track if things are going on, if you're, paying your participants on your end, and just an easy communication source for us. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the adverse event form. And so you'll just fill this out. If there's ever an adverse event, you can have more than one adverse event for a participant. So you might fill this out numerous times for each participant. You would put in the number. So if this is the first one, you'd put in a 1, and you would just number sequentially from there. And the records will pop up when you look at your participant. And then you would put in what the adverse event is. Any of these, you don't get any pop-outs. But if you click other, you do, and then you'd have to specify what it is. You would put in the start date. You'd put in the severity, mild, moderate, severe. Pretty similar to other adverse events. It's just on this ECRF. The expectedness. Now you'll write whether it was expected or unexpected. And remember, we are tracking expected adverse events for this study. Relationship to the study treatment, not related, unlikely, possibly, or definitely related. So you'll talk with the physician to come up with that, and then any action taken, continue in the study, or withdrawn. And then action taken to treat it, no action, intervention. If you click intervention, then you need to write what was done. And then the outcome, ongoing, resolved with sequelae, or unknown. If it is ongoing, we want you tracking that until it is resolved. And then you would move in and click resolved, and then the end date. The PI is going to have to sign off on that it was resolved. If it meets the definition for an SAE, you put that in. If it doesn't, you click no. If it does, you'll get this pop out that tells you to go to the serious adverse events form. So we're going to say no on this form right now, but I will go into the serious adverse event form. That's really all. I mean, these are very important, so you want to make sure these are done. And I just want to stress that, you know, we'll be reviewing things. If something's ongoing for too long, we will probably reach out to talk to you about whether that's been resolved and just hasn't been closed out. So that's kind of just info for you to make sure that those are being looked at. Any questions about that form? Okay, and I don't see any popping up. So then lastly, the serious adverse event form. This can only be filled out one time for a person. If they have a serious adverse event, they will be withdrawn from the study. And so you just put in the number, that's always going to be 1. What happened? You put that in. Again, if it's other, you put that. If it's death, you get a date of death. So different pop-outs for different ones. We will say hospitalization. This gives you the pop-out for complete the hospitalization form within the ICN registry. And then you'll go through these: admission date, discharge diagnosis, and then the date the SAE began, the date that it ended, and then the date that it was discovered and reported to the clinical team, a brief description of the event, and then any records sent to us about the event. So if you send us a lab report, emergency room visit report, any of these things, and you can check all that apply. If you send us any of that, that would be on there for the records. And then the PI, again, we want the PI's name, signing off that they know this has happened, because if you have a SAE, then you do have to withdraw the patient from the study. The date, and then again, if the form's complete or incomplete. And, you know, obviously if this happens, you're going to be reaching out to us and we're going to be talking to you about it as we move through this, so we know if someone's being withdrawn from the study. So you just go in here and fill this out. Hopefully this will not need to be filled out very often, but that is what the SAE form looks like in our REDCap database. Okay, so I know I went through a lot of information. I'm sure once you get in there and poke around, it will make even more sense to you. As Kim said, she thought it looked pretty intuitive. I agree. You know, not being a novice to REDCap 2 and doing this, I thought it's really user friendly and set up pretty nicely and easy to navigate. So that's really all I have for today. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Okay, so the next steps will just be that you will get your REDCap login information when you're activated for the study. Then we'll want you to log into the site and make sure everything looks good. If it doesn't, let us know. You should only see your information. We should have it set up that way. So we should be set there. And then all the paper CRFs are located on Zyphos in the CRF folder. So we just want to make sure you all have access to those there too, and know that those are available there. Okay, any other questions? Alrighty, well, you all have a lovely afternoon, and I will talk to you later.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks,
Michelle. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.